Hey guys, welcome to our podcast, P4FX. This is a podcast where we basically talk about video games and things that's going on in life and things of that nature. Hashtag relatable. Last week was our episode 0, which was our pilot episode. We basically discussed recent video games that we were playing. We did basic introductions about me, LoXus, and DT-Faux here. This week, we're basically going to be discussing like DLC games, more video games maybe looking forward to, and also our Nintendo Open National List here, DT-Faux. We're going to discuss his, I guess, anything that he may have improved on while he was there, what it was like being on the same stage as actual pro players, and, things he could have done a little better, and, things of that nature.
All right, so what have you been up to in the last week on your end? Streaming, shows, games, recording? What's up?
I've still just been doing the basics. I've been streaming a lot of Smash Brothers. I have been playing that Dragon game that I mentioned last week on the previous podcast. If you missed out on that discussion, you can always go back to that. Today, I will be playing the new Splatoon update that one of my viewers was talking about. Apparently, there's supposed to be some new Dapple Dualies coming out with, I believe the sub weapon is like the little torpedo missile, which would be pretty dope to have. And it also has Splashdown on it. So that's going to be pretty interesting. I'm willing to try that out tonight. So hashtag Splatoon.
I guess like what the key portion of this episode would wind up being about is that I just came back from PAX, and boy, are my arms tired.
From what?
Yeah. From flying. I should have said flying. Anyway.
Your arms are tired from flying? You have wings now? You have wings on your arms?
I was drinking that Red Bull, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Saw that taurine. I don't even know if taurine's in it. But yeah, so the full experience, as I mentioned last week, or at least on the very episode 0 of this podcast, I won a free trip up to PAX East, which happened this past weekend, to compete in Nintendo's official, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate North America Open 2019. And according to what they were saying, 18,000 people registered for the online qualifications or online qualifiers. And out of all those 18,000 people, only 12 came out on top. And I was one of those 12, and I was super happy to be there. And I think I also mentioned that this is actually my third Nintendo event I've actually ever been to. First one being Kid Icarus Uprising back in 2011, and Super Smash Bros. 3DS when they had another Open back in 2014. So yeah, it was an interesting adventure and an interesting journey. I've flown on a plane before, so that's not really anything new to me. But before I continue down this, let me ask at least LoXus if he has any, burning questions before I continue my rambling.
Actually, I have a couple. I just wanted to know, so how was the trip up to PAX in general? What was it like getting on a plane and flying out to a place you may not have ever been to before, to an event that you may not have ever been to before, playing against people you never played against before? Because a lot of us, we never actually traveled before. There's a lot of people within the Smash community itself that would really like to engage in more tournaments. And when you do that, as you progress through your so-called career, I guess, you're going to be traveling a lot more. So what was it like doing that?
Well, the traveling part wasn't that bad, only because I grew up a military brat, traveled just about every 3 years, along with having family in and out of the country. So flying was kind of the easy part, even though it's kind of been a while and the news has been covering more and more plane crashes as of late. I do get a little bit more nervous, and that's probably only just because mortality and that kind of stuff is on the mind compared to when you're 10 years old and it's I just want to play my Game Boy.
Right. 100% agree. And when I was on my first plane trip, I literally the first plane trip when I went to go visit you, actually, I kind of just cut on some music and went to sleep. I thought I was going to be on there playing a game. I'm just I'm nervous. So I'm going to just go to sleep.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. Definitely trying to find something to take your mind off of it, because there's some people out there that'll look at the clouds and just watch it the entire time because it's a very beautiful sight. But when you kind of remember that, we're flying in this giant metal scrap heap that weighs over a couple thousand pounds, and technology that could go wrong at possibly any time. But thankfully, statistically, that stuff is safe. Apparently flying is safer than driving even. So, you kind of have to just power through it. Like, so many people fly every day. The chance of you going down is like very, very slim. But, you know, we're not trying to get morbid about this, just talking about that.
You're the one who can fly. You do something.
But, so yeah, I flew in the plane, got there, had to take a shuttle to the hotel. And that was when the trip actually did become a pain, because apparently they were like the bus was just so chock full of people. I had to like stand in a position to hold my bags to make sure I didn't fall over. And then there was like people were getting off of work, so there was a traffic jam. So like compared to the flight, the shuttle felt like it took almost longer to get to my destination than the flight did, which sucked. And then I got there later in the day. So by the time I got registered and talked to all the Nintendo people and looked at like the schedule we had to go with, I realized like, oh man, I lost the first day. The exhibition hall was closed. Couldn't really look at anything. Couldn't really buy what I needed. So that only left me with like 2 days because I didn't really have the Sunday. Then I was looking at the schedule. We were going to be kind of busy. I won't go over what was on the schedule only because I feel like it's best to keep that confidential for, you know, Nintendo's purposes. But yeah, instead of just simply being there to enjoy all of PAX and then just showing up on the Saturday for the event, we did prep, we did prepare and do some other stuff. We got to know some of the other players and stuff. I could go over, let me at least start with when I first got into like the room where I got registered. They gave me like a cool little swag bag, which we got to choose between different kind of Nintendo themed backpacks that was there, whether we got to choose like Metroid, Pokemon, which had like a bunch of Pikachus on it, Splatoon or Zelda. And apparently all the Splatoon ones were taken because the Splatoon players got there before I did.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second here. Why is it called a swag bag? Like, is it actually swaggy? Like, what's swaggy about this swag bag? I've always wondered why people call it that.
Well, at least as far as convention purposes, there's free stuff inside.
Interesting. Okay. Because when I'm thinking swag bag, I'm thinking like a Gucci bag or like a Nike bag or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, I mean, these bags do look pretty cool. I don't know how easy they are to get at regular stores. I'm sure they are. But in convention contexts, swag bags are like cool stuff inside, whether it's like useful stuff, junky stuff, paraphernalia, accessories, that kind of stuff.
So it's like a loot box, but like a bag.
Yeah, essentially a loot box or a loot bag, I guess, in this case. Right. So, and it was so cool only because it was unnecessary. Like, it was already an all expense paid trip, free flight, free hotel. Like even, and this was covered in the prize list, but like there was a per diem. I won't tell the numbers. I won't do the math, but like essentially it's not really prize money. It's more like survival money, but it's part of the prize. So I guess it kind of works out that way. But yeah, though, inside the bag though, I had like all the bags had one free plushie. It had a free water bottle. So like I got like a cool blue Yoshi water bottle that came inside, which I think you can buy at regular stores. I got like a Paratroopa, Koopa Troopa plushie, which looked really cool. I got a Mario Kart hat. I got some Super Mario socks. I got a Bullet Bill candy container case thing. Like, what else came inside? I think that's all the main stuff that came in there. And then like over on like they gave us like a cool little Super Smash Brothers National Open lanyard that we got to wear around our necks if we wanted to. It kind of looks more like a medal. And then when we got our tags to get into the events, you know, where you have to flash your badges so that you don't get turned away. They also had like a cool little, I guess, plastic paper on the other side that was saying like Super Smash Brothers competitor. So like, I guess when walking around, people will get to see like, that's right. That's me right there. Yep. I'm DT-Faux. I thought it was DT-Faux. Hey, you shut up.
You know, thinking about it, it's that kind of thing that's really upsetting, because it's like imagining if Nintendo really like gave the competitive Smash community like full support, like the other you know, like the other devs do, like with Capcom, you know, they support Street Fighter, Namco Bandai, you know, they support Tekken and Dragon Ball Fighters and stuff like that. Like if we actually had developer support on those games, just listening to what you just said, that would be so freaking badass if they had that at an actual, like at a regular Smash Brothers tournament, you know what I'm saying? Like in the competitive community. Having that full support really would make a difference. All of that sounds like so freaking awesome, dude. Because a lot of the stuff we do is like grassroots. Oh, my bad. You can go ahead.
I was going to say, it's funny you should mention that because, what is it? Oddly enough, sometimes I get in arguments with people on the internet. Someone was kind of saying the same thing, except a little bit more cynical, saying like Nintendo doesn't support, quote unquote, supports the competitive community, like they don't host those kind of tournaments. And like on one extent, I would argue that like they're not really, I don't want to say not obligated to, but like there's so many traditional tournaments out there that the community can afford that there could be some unconventional tournaments like this National Open one and the National Championships that's going on a little later. But as far as support goes, if you look on their Nintendo versus Twitter, they actually do support, or at least started supporting some events this year. They supported Genesis apparently, and they supported Frostbite.
Well, then it goes into what exactly is supporting. Like, what is
Yes.
support? I guess is the next question, or what is the support everyone's looking for? Because I think when we hear support, I'm thinking everyone is thinking that we're supposed to get this grand red carpet treatment, kind of like you guys did with that particular event. But something that I did look up, which I thought was interesting, is that Nintendo is, and I think they said it too in E3. I think. They was like, they're very hands off when it comes to the competitive Smash community, because since we're so grassroots, we kind of have our own conventions and our own methods of doing things. And I guess they don't want to feel like they're stepping on our toes, because they're like, they feel like we basically got it. You know what I'm saying? Like they feel like there isn't really much they need to do. They don't need to hold our hands in it, which I agree with. But at the same time, if we have more funds, more money, and support, we could make the scene grow a lot faster than it does. So it's just like, it's just a weird little complex there.
Yeah, but then it then raises the question like how much growing is needed, because like when you really get on like Smash.gg, Smash boards, when you're looking at all the Twitters and Facebooks and Instagrams and stuff, it seemed like you already mentioned, like it seemed like the community's doing well. Like the only thing that's really missing is that higher level of recognition,
and money.
But yeah, I guess in money too.
Yeah, because we can't compete with other fighting games or other communities. Like we can't compete with like our scene is growing, but it's growing at an extremely slow rate, especially in comparison to others, as compared to others. Because we're thinking about this. I'm thinking about this in a sense of esports, not just like your local tournament, because people are literally doing this as a job. They go like it's esports. Esports is a thing now. It's electric sports, or whatever the fuck the E stands for. But I just think that if there was more money and that sort of support put into it, and things like how a lot of time, let me tell you what they did for Dragon Ball FighterZ. I know this is different, and I'm not going to go on a tangent with this too long, but during one of the majors they had for Dragon Ball FighterZ, they actually got the voice actors for Goku and Vegeta to show up. And they had a band that showed up too to that thing. That's how serious they were about it. And what was really cool is they had these cool little, I guess during these events, I think it was kind of like a circuit they had going on. And when you won the events, you got a Dragon Ball. And the first person to get the 7 Dragon Balls got some kind of prize, or something happened when you got it. But it's just that kind of thing is really cool. And while we could probably do that ourselves, with us being a grassroots scene, there's only so much we can do when it comes to stuff like that. Like Capcom has a Capcom Pro Tour that they do, like from around the world, that they basically support. And that's a lot of money going into that. So it's that kind of thing, that I think people are looking for, with the game they love. But like everybody else is saying, Nintendo they don't look at the competitive Smash scene in the same light as they're not a fighting game company, basically. Like Capcom is that division for Street Fighter, and maybe Namco Bandai's division for Dragon Ball FighterZ. They made those games to be fighting games and to be esports. I don't think Nintendo is really looking at Smash Brothers that way, fully. So I can understand why they didn't do that. But that's the end of my take.
Yeah. I mean, it winds up being a little bit complicated too, because as the controversy with Evo this year, especially with Melee getting cut and Under Night in Birth, as popular as that might be among a certain community, making its way in, along with Samurai Showdown, there's a give and take to it too, where it's if there is more corporate involvement, there might be some things that might wind up getting in the way. I don't know, it could be, I'm trying to think of one, I think there was some controversy around Project M not being allowed to be streamed anymore. But I can't fully recall the full thing, but it's it started happening when I think Smash 4 was on its way, when Ultimate was especially on its way, and when Nintendo started getting more involved. So it's kind of a be careful what you wish for kind of thing. But at the same time, I do definitely understand having that level of support where it's like, yes, this company recognizes us for our efforts and they're willing to invest in our efforts too in order to so on and so forth. It's hard to kind of expect a first party company like Capcom. It works because Capcom's Capcom. They're a third party company. They could benefit from, supporting groups in certain ways. Like if it's a third party company, I think it's a whole lot easier than a first party company because like you also don't really, as far as I know, you don't really hear much about Microsoft or Sony like doing that high level of support. They might be sponsors. They might like throw money into the pools. There might be promotional events, but it can depend on what the thing is. Like, especially for PlayStation and Microsoft, I think they more lean towards shooters. Although fighters are more popular on PlayStation systems, so it's complicated. But if based on from what I've been hearing while there, from what I've been seeing, because like for the Nintendo Open thing, like I even told LoXus, like there was some big name. Well, he told me they're big names, and then like I let him know, like, hey, they're actually here. That TK Breezy was there. That I've actually seen that guy a couple times at Smash and Xanadu. That EE was there, and he said that he was familiar with me, and I played against him. I feel like it must have been down at MomoCon a couple years back. But yeah, the general point though is that like the only way they found out about these, at least the big commentators, the big players, when they do those little opens, the invitationals that they invite like those big players to, they do pay attention to the competitive scene. So yeah, it does get a little bit like mixed about how much more should be thrown in. And I do agree that it wouldn't hurt them to like be more active on that front. But as you also mentioned too, that because the grassroots thing is also supporting itself so well, how much should or can a major corporate company also join in the fray? It's rough.
It's and I completely understand. And there's some people in the community that are just like, maybe if Nintendo did take over completely, then there's a good chance that, we may not be able to have our tournaments ran the way we want to, because Nintendo can be kind of what's the word for it? It can be a little possessive, and not possessive, but they can be a little I'm trying to think. Not demanding, that's not the word I'm thinking of, but basically if they take controlling. There we go. That's the word I'm thinking, but I don't want to say that because that's a strong word. But I feel like it could morph into something that we don't actually want. Like we may get that Nintendo circuit that we wanted, but it may not be with the rule set that we're looking for. So it's like a weird little thing with that.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like, again, definitely like be careful what you wish for, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt to want more and keep pushing because. Especially with like how Nintendo looks at even Splatoon, how they treat Splatoon, and like how they have a Nintendo versus like Twitter and stuff. They clearly are dipping their toes more and more into the competitive scene. But yeah, it's still a ways to go. But it shouldn't. The efforts that are currently being made also shouldn't be ignored. So I guess continuing on to the PAX Adventure. So looking at the schedule, I was kind of concerned that, oh man, there won't be much time to explore. But then it turns out that like I've been to so many conventions already, and admittedly that I wasn't really in the mood to deal with so many people. Like, because anyone who's been to a convention, even LoXus knows, when you're trying to get from point A to point B, there's tons of people in the way, lots of cosplayers with big costumes, people stopping to talk, people trying to do a 180 right in front of you. Trying to dip and dodge and juke your way to get to the ice cream stand or something. Like it becomes overwhelming after a good while.
Yeah, you know what it's like being a gamer, man. It's just like people just like, ugh. It's weird because it's like the only time as a, because with how the typical stereotype goes for most gamers, it's like, oh, you're a gamer, you're a shut in, you don't like human interaction. But it's like the one time we do go to our big interaction, it's like ridiculous. There's so many freaking people, and I'm not a shut in. I don't mind talking to people, but I don't like crowds because I like being able to move, and I'm claustrophobic. So it's like I like to be able to I don't mind there being a lot of people in places. That's what's cool about conventions. But like you said, it's just when there's too many, it's just annoying.
Yeah. And what is it? So yeah, I've made my way around. I didn't make much of an effort to actually try much games because I'm learning from E3 and all other gaming events. Like when lines are long, you lose a lot of time. And because I didn't have a lot of time this time around, during my free time, I didn't really bother. But I did see some cool stuff. I saw Crash Team Racing. It's looking pretty good. I'll save my opinions about that game a little bit later, only because I don't want this whole thing to go on too long. I did get to try Samurai Showdown though, and I will talk about that at least. So Samurai Showdown, you're familiar with Samurai Showdown, right, LoXus?
Nope.
Oh, geez. All right. So for those, including LoXus, who aren't familiar with Samurai Showdown, it's a classic SNK fighting game based around swords. Like, it was kind of the sword fighting game before Soul Calibur pretty much kind of took that title. And it's like, it has a very Japanese Shogun Asian type of style. And the crazy thing about back then is that it was also especially violent. Like, you could cut characters in half. I think you could cut their heads off.
Crap.
There was blood that showed.
Holy crap! Who made this?
But it was
game?
like SNK.
Nani?
Yeah. Of same thing. I think it's Fatal Fury and King of Fighters.
Interesting.
And Metal Slug and Arrow Fighters and all those other games. But yeah, so they're doing a reboot this year, and it's all in 3D. There's not really anything wrong with that. The art style is very much like kind of the Japanese painterly style, but it more specifically reminds me of the aesthetic of Street Fighter 4.
Yeah,
if you remember that,
that muscular, like less cell shaded style, I guess.
Yeah, like it was definitely cell shaded, but they used textures in a certain way to make it look painterly, which is it definitely fits for that game more than I feel like Street Fighter did, as cool as it looked.
Painterly. That's interesting.
Yeah. So when playing it though, it's definitely a little bit more, I don't want to say stiff, but I feel like you got to commit to your moves a little bit more than a lot of other fighting games. And especially coming from me, who's coming off of Smash Brothers, where the cooldown times, it's like super fast pace. When you're doing a 2D fighting game, you're just always constantly facing the other person. And depending on what kind of fighting game it is, sometimes it feels like smooth like butter, and other times, it just feels like very hard, heavy, blocky kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be ready for it. So I got my butt kicked the first time against some random guy, and I beat the other guy I followed up with. I wish I could have more to it, but I guess the last thing to wrap that up is that you do have to pay attention to your life bar, because that thing goes down quick if you're not paying attention. Like, not even like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, that's fast paced, but like it lasts long because you got 3 people too. And you can do long strings of combos. This game, it's like you can get hit maybe like 5 times with a heavy attack and you're just done for.
Yeah, that's like classic like 2D fighter right there. Because like you said, a lot of these other games, like your health lasts a lot longer because they have to compensate for more characters, longer combos. But judging by the fact that you die in like so little hits, I'm assuming this game is less about combos and more about like hard reads and spacing. It sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes sense too, because it's a sword fighting game. Like, you're not going to be doing, well, it would be cool to see Dragon Ball Z level fights with swords, but it's I think like when they do the countdown to the start of the fight, I think they literally say on guard. So why not? But yeah, looking forward to that game. I'm not sure if I'll personally pick it up, but it'll be interesting to see it on the world stage at EVO when it officially comes out. So yeah, walking around too, I saw that there was a Streets of Rage 4 booth, but for some odd reason, there was only like one. Well, there were like 3 games there, but there was only like 1 per game. So like, based on how long the line could be, you don't really you have to wait even longer to play it, because there hasn't been a new Streets of Rage in forever. So with this new one coming out, a lot of people wanted to play it. So unfortunately, I had to skip over that. What else was there? There were a bunch of indie games. I unfortunately didn't really take the time to see them, because like there's so many of them, and like time is so precious. But you do want to support the indie community, because it's all these random people trying so hard to be recognized, but they're also kind of drowned out by each other because there's so many people trying to be recognized.
Yeah, and it's very, very interesting too. Those are like the best times to get into like indie games, especially the ones that hasn't came out yet. Because I remember playing Brawlhalla. I think it was at MomoCon I was at that one year where I first played Brawlhalla, and then you look fast forward now, and that game's pretty hot, in the community. So it's just crazy how you play a game, you don't think much of it, and then all of a sudden now it's big, and you can be that person. Hey, I played this during the beta phases. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that indie games are a thing. Like I just love, and it's crazy because of indie games, we're able to get games that we like back, like Mega Man 11. I feel like if indie games didn't make such a big charge as far as the didn't charge in like they did in the actual gaming community, then I feel like we wouldn't be getting a lot of these retro game remakes like we're getting now. Because a lot of those indie games are like love letters to those old games. Like there's been so many indie games that's basically been a callback to Mega Man, to like Metroid, Castlevania, all these other games, and like now we're starting to get either continuations or remakes of them now. So I'm extremely grateful to the indie community.
Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, that I think it's well, for one thing, is because I think especially during the PS 360 era that all these AAA companies were trying to go towards throwing as much money out there to make the biggest, bashiest game out there. But that's not sustainable forever, or at least not for a community of gamers. So yeah, when the big dogs were going for AAA, that left room for like the little guys to say like, you know what, while you guys are busy trying to like chase your Call of Duty sales and your Mass Effect sales and whatever else, we're going to try to like bring back what we love. And again, there's nothing wrong with AAA at all, but it helps to bring back variety. And then like the big companies that are seeing like, wait, you guys still like Mega Man. Oh, you still like Street Fighter. Oh, you still like platformers, and you still like multiplayer and stuff and single player events. And like, that's how we kind of came back to what some people, I guess, are calling like the Capcom revival arc or the redemption arc, kind of.
Oh, Capcom is going in. Oh, they're going in. They're doing so good. Thank you, Capcom. You were my favorite company as a kid, and it was embarrassing to say that I love Capcom at one point. But
what, you like Capcom with all the DLC, and they canceled like 3 Mega Man games, and
he had the fat Mega Man, the greasy 20-year-old one that's probably relatable to most of you guys anyway. Like, yes. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. I'm just glad all those Mega Man jokes are finally gone. Like, oh, I'm so glad.
Because now we're back in it. Like, I felt like the beginning of it was just Mega Man's inclusion in Smash Brothers 4. But I think the real start has been like the past 2 years, where last year we got Monster Hunter World, which and it turned out good, which is a good thing, of course. And then earlier this year, despite me not being a fan of it, the fact that they created RE2 remake or Resident Evil 2 remake, and it was like such a love letter to the game while also modernizing it. Devil May Cry 5, which like I enjoyed a whole lot. I've never really been a true Devil May Cry fan. I actually fell into Bayonetta sooner than I fell into Devil May Cry. But after enjoying Devil May Cry 5, now I want to go back and play the past 4 games. And now I want that Bayonetta Devil May Cry crossover, because it just has to happen, even though I know it won't.
So was that your first Devil May Cry?
Yeah, it was my first real Devil May Cry. Like, I saw my brother play the past ones a couple times, but I never really cared. But now I'm like, I'm in it now. I'm in it.
Well, Capcom's on their edge, dude. Then they had Mega Man 11 that came out, and that game wasn't like a hit sensation per se, but it's one of those weird. It's like Kingdom Hearts 3, where it's like the game's good, but it's not bad, but it's not like amazing. It's like they played it kind of safe, and I feel that's kind of what they did with Kingdom Hearts 3 too. But that's a whole nother tangent. But I definitely feel like Capcom, I don't know who took over. I don't know who was just like, yo, we need to do this different. But I'm so glad that they decided to do that. I feel like what Capcom decided to do was, instead of focusing so much on, like you said, their AAA, quote unquote AAA, fast money titles, they're trying to go back and get their fans back, like get us back. And then we can buy your stuff without trying to boycott your ass. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's definitely... I think it's a smart move for these companies to go back. Yeah, to go back to the beginning. And then we just add the Digimon song in there. But anyways, but yeah, I like that they're doing that. I think it's a smart move. That's why indie titles are so good, because you look at games like Mario Brothers 3, you look at games like Metroid, all these games, we go back and play them all the time anyway. So why not make HD versions of those type of games that keep it going? Those games will never die. Like, those games will always be good. We don't. You may not play Call of Duty anymore. You may not play these other big title games anymore, but you're gonna play Mario at some point. You're gonna play Kirby at some point. You're gonna play Ninja Gaiden, God help you, at some point. So.
Oh yeah, and speaking of Ninja Gaiden 2, or also, I guess, not the actual sequel, that I did happen to see the Yacht Club Games booth. And it's just crazy how far they came from just one game alone. Because remember, like, those had some people that left, what's the company that makes Shantae?
Oh, Way Forward.
Way Forward, yeah. So some of those people left Way Forward, created Yacht Club Games, and just jumped in it with Shovel Knight, ran their their Kickstarter, released the game, and it turned out to be really good. And like they did DLC after DLC that was all free if you bought the original stuff. And like now they're so well known that they actually were able to afford to publish another game, which if you didn't know it was published, I wish I could remember the name. It's some kind of ninja game, definitely based off of like, you know, classic ninjas, like Ninja Gaiden and stuff. But if you didn't know that it was Yacht Club published, you would have thought it was their next new game that they made themselves. And I really wanted to try it, but there was also a line for it, so I couldn't really get on board with that. But yeah, I also saw like some of the other Shovel Knight content there, Shovel Knight Showdown, and I think King of Cards, which should have been out by now, I think, but they had to delay it again, so I'm still waiting for my amiibo to come. But you know, it's all good, Yacht Club. I trust y'all.
Yeah, we trust you. We just don't trust. I'm not gonna do it, but you know what I was gonna say. But yeah, you can't trust all Kickstarters. But going back into the you know, you and your Nintendo Open situation there, what was it like being on stage? Because I'm all right. First of all, did you know that you were on stage with a bunch of pro players, like actual pro players? I remember you texted me. You were talking about there were some pretty good people there, but you were playing against like the best of their respective characters in the world, almost type of people.
Okay, so I'm gonna be real about when it comes to the scene. I don't follow it that closely. Like I kind of like sit on the outer edge of the circle looking in, and then like occasionally like LoXus follows it a lot more closely actually. And usually LoXus will be the one coming from the center of the circle to the edge, letting me know like, hey, DT, that guy, and that guy you got to watch out for. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he goes back into the center while I'm out on the edge. But yeah, I didn't know a lot of them were like pro players, even John Numbers, which I only knew about him from the clout of being the Nintendo World Championship in, I think, 2017 and the runner-up in 2015. When I got to play with him and against him a little bit, like, yeah, he was knocking me around during some of our matches. And I made the huge mistake of trying to challenge him in Puyo Puyo Tetris. What's up?
No, I was gonna say, see, that's the thing, because it's like a lot of people, especially in the Smash community or whatever, they just assume that a lot of them just think that it's just Smash and that's all there is to it. But a lot of us are actual gamers, because a lot of people who play these fighting games aren't actually gamers. Like some of us are gamers. Like John Numbers is a gamer. The Buzz is a gamer. Like these people be entering these Nintendo competitions and slapping people up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. You know, so yeah.
So, I was thinking like, oh yeah, I've gotten a few wins in Tetris 99. I'll be able to hold my own. I've seen like all those spins, rotations, like just stacks coming up. Like, all right, let's do Puyo Puyo. Even worse.
The Puyo Puyo, I think there's a lot more combos in that game too and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like compared to Tetris, which is a little bit more reactive. Puyo Puyo is definitely like proactive. Like you have to set up the combos right to begin with to screw your opponent over a little later on. But he's a really cool dude that he took his time to teach me and like evaluate how I play like Tetris and Puyo Puyo so that he can give me tips and stuff. And I even like backed him up on Twitter saying like he's an item savant when it comes to playing Smash and like having to use items on. Like, did you know that you could delay the Warp Star by holding the shield button?
No, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's actually a YouTuber who does that, who talks about that stuff. What you about to say though?
Did you know that you could actually like make it come down faster by holding down?
I think I just do that anyway, but I didn't know that was a thing either. No, that's pretty sick.
So like it was amazing to hear that, because I'm not a stranger to items in Smash Brothers. I have some general ideas of them, but like it was just crazy, like seeing someone that knew more than me on that kind of level too. Where like even when me and my other teammates, him and Seth, we're all practicing in one room. Like he was saying, like, oh, the audience is going to start cheering for this person. And before you knew it, we fit trainer. We're just looking at him like, how do you know this? How do you know that they're about to cheer? And it was a wild time, but it was also the thing that had me grow confidence in my teammates too, because we got time to practice. We got a lot of time to figure out things. We did practice with items on, making sure like, hey, the stages that'll most likely screw us over, let's go on those. And yeah, it was just an experience in general. But yeah, a little bit going back to the pro players thing, I feel like it's partially to my benefit that I don't pay that much attention, so I don't really care that much on the intimidation level, I guess. Like, I always try my best. I always do my best. I'm not a pushover. I'll say that at least. I won't say I'm a pro player, but I'm definitely not a pushover. But I feel like if I always knew, like, hey, this guy's really, really good, I think that would wind up getting to me a little bit more than just, all right, you're just fighting some guy who is good, but not really caring that he may be a pro player or the best in his region, so on and so forth.
See, and that helps you in your sense, since you say you're in that outer circle, because like you said, a lot of people clam up and get nervous and get starstruck because they see like, oh man, I'm fighting the best Yoshi and one of the best Yoshis back at Smash 4 in the world, potentially still in the world. And, you know, I fought the best Wii Fit trainer from, you know, like when you think that kind of stuff, you can start downplaying yourself. But when you go in with a fresh mind like you do, you can go in there and just kick butt per usual. You know, but at least you'll know after you get your ass kicked, you find out where they were in that, you know, it can help. For me, it's weird. It's the opposite for me. When I'm playing people I know that are really good, it actually amps me up more. And that's a good and bad thing, because whenever I play people that aren't good and I know they're not good, I think I mentally hold myself back when I'm playing them. Like I kind of don't have the same motivation I have when I'm fighting somebody I know is really good or is better than me. So it's kind of weird. But we're not talking about me.
You're not even worth my time.
Yeah, you're not even good enough to be my fake.
I'll make you eat those words. But yeah, where was I going to go with that then? So yeah, like pro players. At least one pet peeve of mine is when like the people who just happen to randomly run into the pro players and just happen to beat them that one time, and then they won't shut up about it. That kind of gets me a little bit, is like, man, I can't believe I finally beat Zero, or like, I can't believe I beat the Buzz. And it's like, yeah, it's a match. Like, it's about, to me, it's always more about the win-loss ratio than it is about beating the good player that one time. Because yes, you beat that good player that one time. Now, can you do it again? And chances are, probably not. Unless like you're the new good player rising up.
That shit tilts me so much, because I went over to my friend's house recently, and like they just make me so mad. Like I get it, right? You want to be able to set goals for yourself, like, but I get so irritated when people like literally pop off. I mean, like jumping, doing front flips from getting a stock off. That jump makes me so mad. I'm like, bro, you just took a stock. Like, who cares? I could give you a stock from jumping off the cliff. Like I was telling them, you taking a stock off me is like we playing Street Fighter and I took out like 1 to 2% of your health on your health bar. Because we don't have health bars on Smash. We have lives and we have percentages. So it's like, I mean, I get you wanting to, you know, you want to set goals and stuff, but your goal should be to win the entire match. Like, not just take off a stock. That's nothing. Like I said, I could give you a stock.
Like, yeah, or at least like don't advertise your goals too much if it's kind of like minimal. Like, I do joke sometimes, like when I'm getting beasted on too hard, I'll go like, all right, now it's all about the moral victory. And when I get that stuck, it's like, all right, you can kill me now kind of thing. And there's nothing against them. It's like just letting them know I'm not going to be like 3 stock like that. I'd rather get JV'd or bring it down to 1 stock, but I ain't going down like a chump kind of thing. But yeah, it's being around. I was about to say like being around those good players want to make me get better, but that's kind of by the default. What I will say is that being on the stage, I feel like things have changed so much as far as how I act on stage versus like a few years back. Because I still remember back during the 3DS Open, we were just sitting in Nintendo World, and it wasn't really a big audience. Like, it wasn't a huge audience inside Nintendo World. Of course, it was being streamed too, but I don't know how many people were on stream. But when I was up there, like, my heart was beating. I was shaking. Like, there was so much going on that it didn't get in the way of my performance still, but like, I don't know, if it was even a little while longer before that, I probably wouldn't have been able to go on stage at all. But this year, like, I was just walking out on stage, like I just did the casual wave, like I was being reactive and stuff, and like as soon as it was time to play, I put the headphones on, and all that was on my mind was just playing. Like I would hear, I do remember that I was showing off a teensy bit with Wii Fit Trainer. Like I was well ahead of the match. You could probably find it on Nintendo's website. And like while we were just doing a stalemate, I just crouched and did Wii Fit Trainer's crawl, and I just heard people laughing in the background, like yeah, yeah, and then I just went back in. So out of everything when it comes to playing Smash, I really do enjoy that energy. The important thing I want to make sure is like as long as I'm not getting, the thing I always tell myself is as long as I'm not getting beasted on stream, I'm fine with the results. Like, I may lose, but as long as it's not like a hard beating, like I don't get a single hit in, I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. That's very helpful. Goals is something that people take for granted because you don't want to set your goals too low. You don't want to set your goals too high. But like you said, as long as you kind of have especially in your case, since you play more for fun, what I'm saying, it's good to kind of have like a tangible type of goal that you can reach. Like you said, I just want to be able to play, look cool, and not get my ass kicked in front of everybody. So it's like, That's good. That sounds like a good enough goal for even myself, if I were to get into something like that. That seems very reasonable.
Like, it's not to say I don't get tilted in private and stuff, especially like when I am getting beasted on by someone. But I think my frustration more comes from like, why haven't I figured this out? Like, why can't I get in? Like, I've tried to shift from like, it's not fair that this guy has no cooldown and 1,000,010 projectiles, and more like, I'm more disappointed in myself and not trying to figure things out because I know what I need to do. I just need to do it kind of stuff.
That's the dude. Oh my goodness. You just hit the nail on the head for me and how I get tilted, dude. Oh my gosh. Because I don't get mad when I lose. I just get mad when I feel like I don't understand why I'm getting my ass kicked. It's just like, because it feels like I'm doing everything I can think of to beat this person, but I'm still losing. Like, what am I not doing? And then that's when I start getting tilted because it's just like, it makes you feel like, what's the point, after a while. So I will say I'm getting a lot better at it as I'm getting older. Like, I felt really proud of myself recently. I was playing online against a Pichu, and Pichu is regarded as possibly one of the best characters in the game currently. I was fighting one online, and this Pichu was ridiculous. I was Mega Man, and he was just juggling me everywhere. But I noticed, I try to think more on the lines when I'm playing of where are they getting most of their damage from? What am I getting hit with the most? What's like actually pissing me off the most? And when I looked, I noticed that a lot of it was those stupid T-jolts, those thunder jolts. He do the thunder jolts. There's less cooldown on them on this game, so you can actually run along them. So he do the T-jolts and run along them, force me to block, hit me with mix-ups, and grab me a lot. And it was really making me mad. So what I decided to do was first I started trying to shoot them with my pellets. That worked, but that was really inconsistent. Then I tried parrying them. Parrying projectiles in this game is trash because you're stuck in stun while the other person can still move. So I'm just like, okay, what can I do? So it finally dawned on me by like the third game that I can just jump and intercept him before he can even do his thunder jolts, because there is some time period before he can actually do the thunder jolt and land. So I just jumped right where he's going to be, and I shot my pellets. And I did that so much to the point where he just stopped jumping in general, and he started having to fight me on the ground. And then that's when I started being able to play the game and have fun and stuff. So it's like, it's really tough. But that is the thing with fighting games. When you're playing fighting games, or any competitive game for that matter, but especially fighting games, it's about how do you get around this thing and figuring out your opponent, because it's you versus another person.
Yeah, and that's where like some people definitely find the enjoyment in fighting games, is the learning aspect of it. I will say that once you do reach a certain point of skill, it does suck when like you should be doing good and you just absolutely can't do anything at all, even to the point where like, yeah, it's like not just the why haven't I figured this out, but like I figured it out, why can't I do anything? And even when I do something, I still can't win, kind of stuff.
Oh man, I know just the person I play against does that kind of thing. That makes you feel like that all the time. It's crazy. It's like, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing the thing, but it's like this person's just, because that's where it goes into. It's not about figuring the person out. It's about reading at that point. So it's like that's when you got to look at yourself Because see, at that point, you're looking at what that person's doing, but you need to look at what you're doing that's causing you to get hit by those things. And it's hard that's the final step for most players, really looking at yourself and what you need to change in yourself. But I'm glad that you had a really good time up there. You look normal to me. You didn't like you were nervous. You look like, you did this kind of thing all the time when you were up there. And it was really cool seeing someone familiar. It's just weird seeing someone familiar up there like that, and it's like, wow, David's up there and all these people watching and like 40K viewers and stuff. There
was really 40,000?
I think I may be over exaggerating, but I know it was way over 10K people. I know it was over 10K viewers.
That's crazy. And yeah, like, at the end of the day, like, not to spoil things too hard, but yes, the team I was on, Northeast, we got second place. But we did put up a good fight. Like, I'm not sure if other people knew, but when it came to the very, very first round at the beginning, we weren't supposed to be on Gerudo Valley. Like, that was a mistake.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, I think it's safe to say now they promised like no walk-off stages during this tournament, and like the Smash fans were happy. So then when the very first match wound up being Gerudo Valley, it was like, wait, what's going on? And I was trying to like let my friends, oh boy, let my teammates and friends know, like,
boy, that man a savage, boy. Like, well, they're not my friends. I don't know these people.
No, it's not so much. No, it's not so much that. It's like that I'm very particular when it comes to like certain social titles. So it's like, even if I consider them my friends, they may not consider me their friends. So I don't want to like jump into it immediately. But no, I think at this point we are friends. Like, we follow each other on Twitter and stuff, so we're good to go.
You are my friend.
But yeah, so yeah, like I was trying to let them know, like, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get through this. And then we lost. And that's when, like, we were trying to figure out, hey, what happened? And they unfortunately said, like, we got to let it ride. Like, we can't run that back, probably due to time constraints. So then it fell on me and John Numbers to pick it back up. Thankfully, I performed well. We all performed well.
I can't stand you. Oh, you get on my nerves.
Yes. Like, despite the jokes, I'm trying my best not to like make it sound like they didn't do their job, because boy, like without them, I'm not sure how much farther we would have gotten. So unfortunately, we were sent to the losers bracket at the very beginning, and I was thinking like, all right, this feels familiar. This will probably be the beginning of the end already, but we can keep going. So then we did the first losers bracket. Let me go over real quick what the rules were too. So at the beginning, when you're in the winners bracket, it's best of 3. But one player gets to choose 3 different characters per stock. Whoever wins that moves on. Whoever loses that gets sent to the losers bracket. So in losers bracket, it winds up being like tag team, where in squad strike, where you play for as long as you can, and as soon as your character is KO'd, then comes the next person who picks up the slack. And it was especially during those 2, I guess, rounds or matches is when my teammates, I felt, really shined for me, because like I think at first John Numbers went up in our first match, and he took out 2 stocks. He racked up so much damage that by the time it was time for me to go in with Incineroar, all I had to do was one good Alolan Whip and I would have won. I dropped that timing, so I had to do a throw, but that was good to go. Then the second time, I think Seth, like he wound up KOing one. What's that? LoXus?
No, I said bars, because you were because you were like, I did the throw, so I was good to go. I was like, bars.
Oh shoot, yeah, that was my rap break getting ready to go. But then in the second one, Seth wound up, I believe, KOing one character and building high damage for the second guy. So then it was my turn, and that's where I feel like I dropped the ball, because despite racking up damage against this Ike, it was an Ike player, and he ultimately KO'd me, leaving, I think, John Numbers to do the rest of the work there. So after we won the second losers bracket, we finally went back to the winners. Well, we were still losers, but we went to the winners grand finals. And we brought it close. Like, it was so goddamn close. Like, I'm still feeling the pain a little bit.
That was so close, dude. That was a really big nail biter, bro. Like, that was sick.
Because if we won that last match, we would have gone for the reset. And I honestly feel like if we got the reset, I honestly believe we would have won. If we got that reset, I do believe we would have brought it back into the next round and won that. But it's easy to say that, in hindsight. But unfortunately, we did get second place. It was a fun run. Like, the World Championships is one thing. It would have been cool to go. I've been to E3 before. Who cares about that? I wanted the controller.
That controller was sick too, dude. The case the controller was in was sick. Like, that jug was so awesome, dude. Oh man, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even care about like controller designs and stuff, but that jug even looked tight to me, dude. I would have been jelly.
Like, every time I think back on it, it's like the controller was the thing I really wanted. Life doesn't always work out.
Prize?
Huh?
What was the secret prize?
Oh, the secret. Well, that was technically a secret prize because they didn't say what was going to be rewarded or awarded, I guess. But then, like, the winning team gets to go to the World Championship in Los Angeles in June to play against the other champions of around the world. So you have to play against, if not Asia, definitely Japan, Australia / New Zealand, and Europe. Everyone's going to be going over to Los Angeles to compete against each other in the World Championship.
Did you guys know that was going to happen?
I didn't know until the morning of, because apparently they updated it on the events.nintendo site, but they eventually mentioned it on Twitter. They didn't even mention it to any of us players at the moment. I don't know why. But that's where I found my extra motivation, because at that moment I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm already here. I'm having a good time. All expense paid trip. Whatever happens, happens. And then they're like, oh, but you guys get to continue on for another free trip. But like, I found my motivation. We got to win this, guys.
So close, man. Hey, man. But, it was a weird tear because I wanted to cheer for the people in my region because, I'm in the Southeast.
You traitor.
My homie was in the Northeast, so I definitely cheered for your team. So take it back.
Never. But yeah, overall though, like, there was some extra little swag that came along too. Like, we got to keep those cool jerseys we got to wear on stream. And like, putting it into perspective, I can't speak for the other countries, but there's only 12 of those in the US. And there's only 3 unique colors per team. So I have one of the 3 white shirts, and everyone else has one of the 3 of the other ones too. Additionally, we got like these cool t-shirts, black t-shirts that has the name of the event. So that's cool to have too. And then, like, despite not having the trophy to bring home, when I arrived home, I got this cool little certificate that says, like, actually, let me see if I can get it real quick and read it off. Be right there.
All right. So while he's getting ready to do that,
I'm back.
And he's back.
So, like, it's almost kind of like you receiving a diploma, like on those little flat sheets of those little flat plastic laminated things. And on the front, I'll show you the pictures later. It says like the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate North America Open 2019. And when you open it, it has like this cool, like, finely textured rainbow colored design paper that says like challenger approaching. You've qualified to compete as a finalist in the Super Smash Bros. North America Open 2019 tournament. This certificate has been awarded in recognition to your fighting spirit. And it has like the Nintendo logo, and that's cool and all. But what's especially cool is that on the bottom left, it has an actual like real signature. Like, I look close to make sure, and yes, it's a real signature from Reggie Fils AIM, who is starting this month, the former president of Nintendo. So
that's sick.
Yes, what I have on my person is possibly one of the last signatures towards a fan, at least, from the former president of Nintendo, the Reginator. It's a piece of memorabilia that, like, I'll cherish, of course, forever. But yeah, it would have been cool to get
dear to my heart.
Yeah, like, I actually wonder, like, should I laminate this? But it's like, well, I'll lose this cool texture if I laminate it, and I only have one of these, so what do I do?
I mean, like, would the texture matter if you're gonna be probably hanging it up anyway? Like you're gonna be touching it. Right.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like I wanted to keep it in its original form, but I would also like to preserve it for the future. Like, it doesn't even say like congratulations DT-Faux or anything, but At least with this kind of thing too. It's like the same thing with the jerseys. There's only supposedly 12 of these in the country. In North America, at least. I can't speak for Japan, Australia, so on and so forth.
I would preserve it. Because the worst case
Yeah.
scenario, even if you laminate it, you can just can't you take stuff off if you laminate it?
No. Lamination kind of works in a way where once it's on, it kind of adheres to the paper. So if you try to peel it off, it'll start ripping the paper.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll leave it as
Take
is.
it.
Maybe find a plastic case and something. Because it's not something I'm really going to be leaving wide open and reading frequently. But it's every so often it'll be hey, check this out.
I just pictured you putting that junk on your ceilings and just reminding yourself every time you wake up, you just look at it. That'd be some OD shit.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. Good times. But we're slowly approaching time. We're about to hit that hour mark in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Before we go though, were there any new games or anything that you were looking forward to?
Oh yeah, for the upcoming week. Yeah, shoot. Now that I'm back, and now that I got to get back to life, back to the reality, back to the here and now and then.
Back to reality.
So what's coming up? Due to getting ready for this event, I've definitely kind of put off art for a little bit. So I want to get back into it. I've got projects that I want to do. There's one very key project I really want to do called Project Waves. And oddly enough, it's also a competitive based series. I want to make it an animation, but it's probably going to be a comic. But it's based around competition, and the experience and the feeling of win and loss during this competition will actually play a part. Will actually give me inspiration towards that series. So that's a cool thing. As far as games and stuff, I do want to get back into doing Let's Plays. I want to continue my Breath of the Wild Let's Play while picking up one other game. I'm still trying to decide, but you can find me over at DT-Faux Gaming if you want to see whatever past Let's Plays I have. If you want to see the really old stuff, go to DT-Faux Classic on YouTube. And as far as general games I'm trying to play, I did pick up Yoshi Woolly World, which I can give a full story about that in the next episode. But yeah, that's been enjoyable. Quick summary of the game though. It's been enjoyable so far. It is definitely a game you shouldn't play tired. There's a lot of yes, I'll say that at least. It's a game you shouldn't play tired. It's not a bad game at all. It's your standard platformer, your standard Yoshi game. It's very creative. There's a lot of replay value, but you do have to be into it, I feel. If you're not into it, you're not going to enjoy it, unfortunately.
Like me. I just felt that was such a big call out to me from that last episode where you literally had to say at least twice, don't play games where you're tired.
Yeah. But no, I mean, in this case, I've been running on E during most of the, I almost said E3, most of the PAX East event, due to having to get up early due to the schedule Nintendo had planned for us. I didn't get up, and I mean, I only got about 4 hours of sleep because it was all right, I got to get ready for tomorrow. I hope I don't oversleep. All right, I got to get some sleep. Oh, it's already 7 and 8 a.m., that kind of early stuff. Mm. So when I was trying to relax and play Yoshi Woolly World, I just felt my eyes drifting. And it's I am not going to get any further in this if I don't get some sleep. So now that I'm awake, I'm enjoying it a whole lot more.
Yeah, at the time I tried to play it, I was really tired too. So we can talk more in detail about it in the next episode. Also, I was going to say quick plug back to, I don't know if some of you guys, this could be your first episode watching. DT-Faux is a freelance artist. He does do commissions as far as I know. So hit him up.
Money.
Give him money. Give him all the money so he can share it with me. I mean, so he can promote himself even further. In my case, I stream usually every day. I pretty much stream every day. I never take days off. Even tonight, I'll probably be streaming. I'm supposed to be going out to eat tonight, but I'm probably going to be streaming tonight. I'll probably be streaming, if not the Dragon game, I'll probably be streaming Mega Man Battle Network. I've been playing Smash a lot, so I might take a break tonight. I don't know, but feel free to tune into that at LoXus_TV. And you know where to find me on Twitch. So, and be sure to like, fave, subscribe. Thanks for listening to our podcast if you made it this far, and look forward to next episode.
Oh yeah, but one other thing too is that if you have, because no one sent us emails yet.
Oh yeah.
If you have any questions or quick stories or suggestions or corrections you'd like for us to make, send an email to, and I got it wrong last time. This time it's P4FX at gmail.com. That's PAUSE, the number 4, the letter F, the letter X at gmail.com. So yeah, we await your emails. Please send us something. We're so lonely. No.
Oh, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get on Twitter and I'm gonna like post that and see, and also go on my Discord and post it so we can get some people in there. So
yeah, actually thinking about it, I should probably take advantage of the following I have on other sites too, and let them know that we got something going on. Because I actually haven't really told a lot of people about our podcast, much less the event I went on a national stage. Holy crap, it's a national stage. I want to go back. That's what I want.
It's kind of tough to get people on like the whole podcast bandwagon in general, because it's like a podcast isn't like, it's something that I think is starting to become more of a thing as of recently or within the past recent years. And it's like a lot of people aren't super on board with that kind of thing, because I posted on different sites and I've had friends that said they already watched it already and stuff like that. But it's like hard to suggest to like your group of friends to watch your podcast, because it's like an hour long talking thing. People see that and they're like, I don't want to look at this. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's kind
that's why you don't suggest to your friends. That's why you advertise to for the most part, the fan base. Essentially, it's like they're the ones that are going to be more likely and more interested because they don't know you as personally. So this will be their chance. We don't have a
fan base yet.
What up?
We don't have a fan base yet.
Well, I mean, of like other areas, like gotcha. When it comes, I won't name names of like the groups that I listen to, but you know, they're mainly known for their Let's Plays. They're sometimes known for their art, for the things that they do elsewhere, and their podcast is just another facet of it. But the podcast is a chance to hear more interpersonal stories or opinions or ideas.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So like, where you do your streaming, you let people know they're like, hey, I also do a podcast. Like where I do my art, I'll let people know, hey, I also do a podcast. And hopefully like for the hundreds and hopefully eventually thousands of people that are following us, like maybe even 5 of them might decide, hey, you know what, I'll give it a listen. And maybe like 2 of them will say, hey, that's pretty cool. And maybe 1 of them will share it with someone else. And that keeps the line going.
The conga line, baby.
Exactly. But yeah, so again, if you are listening and you want to send us an email or have any questions, that's P4FX at gmail.com. Any last words before I click the stop button, LoXus?
You guys be easy, be safe, and stay cool.
Yeah, so talk to you guys later. See you guys in the next episode as I cry myself to sleep continuing.
Oh my
Peace.
gosh.